and attuned. Unless that is done, we will continue to act out with our body what we conceive inwardly. And if our inward self is dark, our acting out, the result also is going to be dark. And I have come to realize that these can only come through a process of orientation. And this is one aspect of our national growth and development that is not taken seriously. It is very unfortunate. So it is immaterial that you budget 30 billion, 300 billion, 1 trillion to take care of roads at the federal level. Nigerians will continue to wonder. These 10 trillions that has been appropriated for road constructions, where has this money been applied that we have not seen it on ground? It is because Nigerians will continue to act out wrongly what they also conceive wrongly. So we have to see that first of all as what the nation actually requires. And I want to say, and especially now that we are seriously considering the issue of constitutional amendment, it is one critical element that we need enshrined in our constitution. It must be seen as a thing that is mandatory. Yes, we should get it enshrined in the constitution. We must establish that as a department, not just a department, as a ministry. We must give it a very strong sectorial backing.
You mean
the process of orientation must be, yes, a ministry that is compulsory. It must exist at the federal level, and for purposes of sound and smooth coordination of activities, it should also exist at the state level and must also exist at the local level. Because I keep wondering why we have Ministry of Education, Finance, Works, Health and others existing at federal level, state levels and local levels. Yet these ministries are manned by people whose minds have not already been conditioned, broadened and polished.
So they have not been orientated.
So they have not been orientated. So what is important therefore is the process of orientation. If you get that process right, then whoever you put as ministers in charge of these ministries will discharge their responsibilities effectively.
Your Excellency, this orientation, is it training? Is it training you're talking about?
A great deal of things are involved in the process of orientation. Orientation has what I would look at as an element that are psychologically oriented, and I also have those ones that are objective. Do you understand? So orientation is not just a one-stop thing. You can't command it and have it.
No.
It is a process. Yes, and when you start it, you start by awareness, by creating the awareness. In the process of creating that awareness, you also have at the same time initiated and activated the psychological element in people that works in people, and bring everybody to the knowledge that this is the direction that society wants. What we seem not to understand in this country is that society has both a fordering role and inhibiting role over its citizens. Government is the head of the society. But the government in Nigeria does not seem to clearly implore and compel these roles on its citizens. Because we are all human beings, coming from a human source, with free will. I have the right to do what I think is proper, but that right might trample on their own right. So where my right ends is where your own should begin. And because we have this independent will, where I do what I feel is right, another person does what he feels is right, those things that we feel are correct for us to do should be limited to our own private individual spheres of life. Whenever we come out to the marketplace, society places a rule of equity, that in this marketplace you must conform. These are the things you must do, and these are the things you must not do. And if you should do this one, this is the limit. And if you fall short of that limit, the society clamps on you, through any of its agencies, takes you to court, and then you are sentenced. So society has that responsibility, both the fordering role on citizens and inhibiting role. It has to repress those conduct from citizens that it knows is not going to aid the development of that society the way it is expected.
Yes.
But it must also further those roles from citizens that they know will lead to the advancement of the society. But incidentally, in Nigeria, the two things are done side by side, and the society does not know how to repress and does not know how to further. In most cases, if our own society would think of furthering, it will further those attitudes that are inimical for the growth and development of the society, and will rather repress those ones that every other society needs for growth and advancement.
So, Your Excellency, why then is Ghana a success story? I mean, Ghana, has evolved almost the same pace that we have evolved. Why is Ghana now a success story in the world, and we haven't been able to achieve that success?
We have not been able to achieve that success as Ghana because of our failures. Now, let me say, by my understanding, we are running a constitutional government. Ghana today is running a constitutional government. But there is a proviso by the greatest exponent of democracy that democracy has no application to any state of being anterior to that time when mankind can be engaged in free and equal discussion. Because anterior to that time, that mankind is necessarily barbaric. And despotism is the best system of government to deal with barbarians, provided the end be their improvement, and that end actually justified by improving them. Based on these policies, by my understanding, the world tolerated dictatorship from the beginning of time. And that is why you can trace the growth and development of every great democracy in this world to a period where it had to pass through the hands of one autocratic ruler or the other.
Like England had the monarch.
Every country, almost every country, every serious democracy in this world passed through the hands of one dictator or the other. Because it requires minimal toil to use dictatorship to change the well-being of the people and provide directions where you want the nation to go. So the world saw it as a necessity, and so they tolerated that system of government. Unfortunately, the dictators that Nigeria produced never had anyone that could use that to the advancement, to the betterment of the society.
What about India?
Now, because none of them was able to do it, and that is why Nigeria has continued to be the way it is today. The example that you cited, Ghana was able to pass through the hands of Jerry Rawlings in the last 2 decades, who was able to provide direction by the use of dictatorship. And he provided direction, and today Ghana is what it is.
With a lot of bloodshed.
Yes, with a lot of bloodshed. But I'm not subscribing to bloodshed. I believe it can still be achieved without bloodshed. But incidentally, the same dictatorship that the world had permitted now started expanding, and instead of dictators using it or utilizing the instrumentality of that to improve the lots of their citizens, they were now seeing it as a license to torment the rest of the world, including those countries that are free already. And so the world observed it with pains. And at a stage, they pulled a button and said, enough of dictatorship. Whether you like it or not, you must democratize. That is the direction of global political movement today. So what this means is that thing that we could not achieve as a country through a process that others utilized easily, it is incumbent on us as a nation to now sit down and devise means of achieving that same thing through democracy. So our problem is complex. But unfortunately, instead of having Nigerians sit down to see this problem as their own, you see Nigerian leaders running in various countries in Europe and America, trying to look for ready-made solutions that they can apply. And sometimes it becomes laughable that you run to the United States and ask the citizens of the United States or the leadership of the United States to come and help you raise your country and the social character of your country to the stage of evolution that our time requires. It is not their problem.
It's our
The United States at the time, as of now, in the first place, none